Oh my
Good.
goodness, good morning.
I know it's just you and me. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
You're
What a
very,
rarity.
I know. How's your week been?
Up and down, up and
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Yeah, I it's been challenging. I'm not sure what I'm getting trained for, but I'm getting trained, that's for sure.
Oh, I love that attitude that that there's no, it's always a lesson for something. It's
Hmm.
always so, and oh my gosh, I so can echo this. I really can. Over the past maybe 3 months, I realized that I was negative self-talking, and I realized I believe massively in the power of thought. I think thoughts have weight. I mean, I really do. I think thoughts have weight, and I think intentions matter, motive matters, and it's hard to judge it to other people because we don't know their true motives. So, like, give people a little bit of grace. You really don't know, but we know our motives, and they matter. And I realized that I was doing a lot of things. So my last 3 months were hell. I mean, it's been hell with Indeed jail and everything else. And I mean, it's just been really, really bad mentally. And I realized
Hmm.
that my self-talk was expecting it to be hell. And because I'm like, and the self-talk went along these lines. Uh, uh, I have to do everybody else's job. I have to be on hold for hours with everybody because I'm dealing with stupid government stuff, in my personal life, closing out my dad's estate, that kind of stuff. I have to break down walls. Like, all there are walls around me, I have to break them down. And I'm 60 almost, and I'm tired of flipping breaking down walls.
Yeah.
And what I realized was that in my through my I have a Friday accountability buddy, and I think it was last week or the week before. He said, he goes, in our upline, there's Albie and Jay and oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the other guy's name, and
Andre.
Andre, and there's another one up there, not Kinder, not Reese, Kitchens, John Kitchens, him. And he said, and they're like in the Cleveland area. Those boys are up in Cleveland area, and that's where my accountability buddy is. And he said, their whole lives, all they ever heard was no. And look where they are now. And they're the top of Honey Badgers, and Honey Badgers is this huge organization, right? And he
Yeah.
goes, "They've all been told no." And I realized that probably, I'm going to go out on a limb here, but everybody who pushes and succeeds at a high level is told no on a flippin' regular basis. Can't be done. Don't do it. Can't do it. We won't let you do that. That can't be done. And and it just made me stop and go, you've been so that message comes from outside all the time. But the
Hmm.
worst thing was that message came from me internally towards myself over the last 3 months.
I
And that's when I woke up.
but Gene, I am like flabbergasted because uh here in the last 3 months, I haven't been very regular in the last 3 months, but in the last 3 months, you're launching a book. You have also done an amazing course that most of us participated in. That was mind blowing, and uh, you're going through a lot of challenges, and you still show up for us as the superstar that you are. So it's like, oh my God, Gina, negative self-talk.
Massive.
Whoa.
Massive, massive. And so, catching you guys up, we're talking about, PF said that he's kind of gone up and down. And then I started sharing that the last 3 months have just been really hell for him. I mean, really flipping hard for me mentally. Um, all of it just really, really, really hard to keep on pushing through because nothing was flipping happening. And everywhere I got, it was just no, 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 no. I mean, everywhere I went was flipping no. Personal life, professional life, I'm just like, ugh. And I was going crazy. And then I realized that the self-talk was my own self-talk also. Not only was it coming from the world that, we won't do this, you can't do that, that's not allowed, whatever, all that stupid crap is, but it came from myself too. And I had internalized it. And I believe thoughts have weight and intentions matter. And I have to be very, very careful with what I am allowing for my self-talk to go on inside my head, because well, okay, not another winter. That's my famous story that tells us one, not another winter. Because I put not another winter on a piece of paper when I lived in Washington State, and I would stare at it every single day as I was doing. It was literally on a board right in front of me, right above my computer at like kind of eye level if you pick up just a tiny bit. And I would be working, and then I would just see this thing that was scrawled, sloppy, but fat, scrawled, not another winter. And it just internalized. And it just became, I didn't even realize it, but I started doing all these things to make sure that I did not spend another winter in Washington State. And then I ended up moving. I moved September something is when I moved to Virginia. And in Washington State, winter really starts to hit some point in October. You can get some nice bits of October. October can be nasty. But by November, you're definitely into winter, and it's usually it hits sometime in October. Well, I was out September, I don't know, 20th or something like that. Like literally not another winter. And so I understand and know the power of this. I know it. I've lived it. It showed up over and over and over and again in my life. Hey, all y'all. So I was actually doing all the negative self-talk. And then 2 weeks ago, after talking with my friend, I was like, screw this. Like, I am not, Indeed wouldn't let me in. The IRS still hasn't released my father's money yet. Who else? I don't know. There's a pile of crap over here I'm battling with different agencies and things to get his stuff closed and all that. And Brivity shut that down. Just everything was shut down and nothing was working. So 2 weeks ago, I literally, this is not polite, but I started saying in my head, screw you, minimum wage. And that's what I started doing because this, like I said, this is not polite. And I'm going to just fully fess up. It's not, but it's a lot of like government employees and things like that were telling me no. And I let them. So that's when I realized what it was that I was doing. And the difference is, I believe, when I'm pushing through, I know what I'm supposed to be thinking, but I'm battling what's truly going on in my head. That's what's going on. So while I'm plowing forward here, I still had the negative going on. I still was in that space where the negative was still going on here. And so inside, I'm at war. On some level, it's at war, right? And the only way through it is through it. Like, I know that the only way through it is through it. It's always been that way. You got to go through it. You got to put your head down. You got to go through the desert, the bullshit, or whatever is going on. And at some point in my walk, what I have learned to do is dig in my heels at some point. I wish I did it earlier, but I don't know why I haven't, but I want to learn that quicker. I want to learn what's going on quicker about me so I can dig in my heels earlier and go, no more, we're done. And that's when I was like, Indeed's going to put my stuff through. I don't care what I have to do. Like, I don't care. You're going to get me full force. And I know I'm a force to be reckoned with when I turn and go after you. Like, you will have to deal with me. And so that was 2 weeks ago-ish. So my good news, my story is, and I feel flipping amazing now. I pushed my Indeed through. My Indeed is up and running now. I am getting applicants in to be on my team. I had my first recruiting appointment, or whatever you want to call it, attraction appointment, yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It could have been the day before, but whatever. But I just had it. I don't know. I'm not going to think about it. It's yesterday or the day before. I had the appointment. Thank you, Kimberly. And it was so funny. So I have a big piece of news to tell you also, because when I was talking, and the intention is I'm going to build a Gina Hansen team, right? That's the intention. And this is not going to change. So, breathe and all that. This is all cool. Anyway, so because I just want to fold them into this. So I'm going to start a Gina Hansen team, but I haven't talked to EXP yet at this point when I'm talking to her. Like, I haven't talked to them. I have an appointment set, but I haven't actually had a conversation with them. And so I am talking to this girl, and I really thought about, who do I love working with? And I love working with you guys. So I went through, when I put together my Indeed ad, and I built it to have you guys. I built it with this in mind. Like, I want real human beings that flipping want it as bad as I want it. that want to grow, that can have real conversations, all those things. And so I restructured the ad from Gary's, which he gave me, which is all about investing, and rightfully so. And it reflects Gary's personality. I restructured all that to match up with my personality and what I want. And so I had my first appointment with this girl, and we're hitting it off. And she says, hey, money, like, how does that work? Like, I want to do this. How does money work? And I'm like, well, I told you I was transparent. So here we go. I'm like, I am in the process of working on getting a team built. I do not have anything official yet. I can tell you what EXP costs are going to be. Like, that part I know, but I can't tell you exactly what my team will be, but I'll do this. I'm going to give you worst case scenario. And if I can get better, you will get better. And if I can't, and it's worse, I will eat the difference. And she was like, fair enough. And so we went through it. And she was like, yep, that's cool. I like it all. It's all good. And so I met with EXP yesterday and had a great conversation with them. And that conversation, there's 4 levels of team. There's domestic, husband and wife team are only 2 people. That's it. You can't have any more. That's all that team can be. It's a domestic team. There's self-directed, which is basically a referral agreement. So you can build and have referral partners. You don't need anything else other than a referral agreement on file with EXP. I don't think you need even anything else. It's just referrals. So there's that, but you can call it a team. And then there is the type that Gary has, which is a standard team that can go across state lines. The first year agents can have, or while they're on the team, paying a heavy cap, which there's not even supposed to be a cap. It's while they're on the team paying, a chunk over to Gary, a big chunk over to Gary. They get the half cap on the EXP side. And then there's a mega agent icon team. This has requirements that you need some supervision in any state you're in. And I don't know what the other requirements are for mega agent icon team. I just know that you have to have a broker or manager in every state that you're in. And I believe you can be the broker. They have to be licensed in that state. Is I believe how it works. Anyway, so I wanted to do standard team, but there's requirements. There's X amount of production, X amount of units, X amount of da-da-da. I don't match up with those. So, so I was talking with her and she goes, okay, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to do this type of a team. And then she said, okay, there's requirements. And I've already read through the entire, I don't know, 6-page doc or whatever. I've already read through it because I'm looking for my loopholes. I need to find where my loopholes are. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. And this is why that. She goes, okay. So then she goes, there's requirements. And I'm like, I know. And she pulls up my account. And what I'm hoping is this. I'm going to use the fact that because the way Gary and I have things structured, when I am coaching somebody, I'm actually named on that transaction because a portion of that transaction goes to me. Like I get a tiny portion for the people I actively coach when they sell. And so that counts as units. And I'm hoping that will go through. And she starts telling me, and I'm like, and she tells me some number, I don't know what it is. And I'm like, okay, hang on. I'm like, time out. We got to talk. We have to talk because I've been a team leader and a coach for 13 years now. And I don't have my regular production other than personal stuff here and there and, vesting, that kind of stuff. That's all I really have for regular. She goes, so I said, so we got to figure out how to work our way around this because this is what I want to do. And we're, and I want to figure out how to make it happen. And she goes, Gina, you have way more production than you need. Oh, okay. Let's keep on talking. So, well, hello.
Timing.
Morning.
Morning.
So they said yes. They said everything's fine. All I have to do is get my ICA together and they'll push it through. It's all, so basically the bottom line is this. It's approved through EXP. I got everything I wanted, which is structured financially like Gary's is. So I got that pushed through also. I'd read the ways around it. So they were like, when I first said, this is what I want to do. I want to do the same cap as Gary first year and same cap situation second year across the board. And they said, they were like, and I'm wait. I'm like, you have this and you have that. I go, can't I just move them once they hit their cap and I just move them over to that other type, that referral agreement type of a thing? I go, isn't that what that is? And she goes, It is what it is. And I'm like, well, then that's what we're gonna do. I'm like, look, the bottom line is I wanted to match up with EXP and raise up self-directed people that are learning-based, self-directed, want to grow, never want to be, don't want to be held down, don't want to be pigeonholed. I'm like, that's what EXP is about. So can't we just line up with that? And she's like, yeah, actually we can. I'm like, I don't want to manage people and I don't want to take their money for forever. I don't want to do that. I just want to do and mirror this thing. And so she was like, yeah, that actually makes total sense. I'm like, cool. We just have to call it this on the XP side. She goes, yeah, we just call it that. I'm like, good, we're good to go. So the bottom line is when I changed my thinking and I really changed not just what I was faking thinking, but when I really changed my thinking and I dug in my heels again and said, screw you, you're not stopping me anymore. I don't care. Like I will push it through. I don't care. I'm pushing this thing through. You are going to have to deal with me. And you're going to have to deal with me until you either hate my guts or you say yes. I don't care. But one way or the other, it's getting through. And if you won't do it, that's cool because you can't. We will go find the person who can. Like, I don't care what we have to do to get it through. So since then, in the last 2 weeks, the IRS supposedly has said with my dad's stuff that they will send the check. They just haven't released it yet, which whatever. It was really a funny conversation. She goes, it takes 6 weeks. I go, the notice is dated September. So I think you've had your 6 weeks, get the damn check done. EXP's pushed through, my Indeed's opened up again. And finally, everything has opened back up again. So that, I guess, is my story that lines up with you, the emotional thing that I had, for whatever reason, I had to go through so that I could learn to dig in my heels again and to stop letting life push me around because, damn it, that's not who I am. So there you go for everybody who came in
Oh
late.
my God, that's so wild. So quick question though,
Ask away.
I'm curious. Does that mean you're branching away from Gary's team, or you're just
okay.
another branch in the big tree?
You're okay. Great question. So I'm not branching away from this and doing the stuff that I do at all. Because thank you. My intention is to bring more people into this, especially this. So that's my intention, is to bring more people into this and to grow this. My second intention is to take everybody who wants to and help them grow also. So that's my second thing. And part of this whole thing was stop Gina, when I got my Indeed through and when I got my team set up, then I would know exactly what it is so I could help all of you who want to do that same thing or anything similar. Here's the ins and outs. Here's how it all works. Just like Anna went through trying to figure out how it would work to go half cap, full cap, half cap, full cap your first year and figure out that thing and what would be the best thing. Then now has all the knowledge of how it works. I want to have that knowledge also. And I want to lift up. My number one thing is to lift up leadership. That's been my number one thing. Once I figured out that's how it worked back in I probably figured it out in 2012 or 13, maybe. That's probably when I figured it out that I want to lift up leadership. So this is not changing on any level. I might change our name, maybe, but that's the only thing I'm changing. I'm not going to change the time. I'm not going to change the format. I'm not going to change any of that stuff. I do want to help other people who want to do the same exact thing. And whatever that looks like is, whatever that looks like when people are ready to do those kinds of things, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I want to do. And then I'll have Gina Hansen team officially in EXP land, because I had this conversation too. Officially in EXP land, they won't let me have my team and be on Gary's team also. And I said, look, he's my business partner. He's been my business partner. We've been friends since 2011, 2012, January, whatever, somewhere in there. We've been friends all these years. I still want to meet, train, coach, work, all those kinds of things. And they're like, you can have all that relationship with him. Like, we don't care about any of that. It's just, we will not allow you to have your complete team and because of the capping situation, because of how that works. They're like, that's just like some sort of nightmare. And I'm like, oh, I get that. That's not a problem. So that part officially in EXP land. So I guess the lesson here, and then I'll shut up because that would be a good thing to do. The lesson here is what I already knew. When I stop saying you, Gina, when I'm up against something, I go read all of the rules that they put out, whatever they are. I just go read their rules. And then once I know their rules, then when I'm talking to a person who only knows, because the reason why they're in that job, they only know this. That's all they know. They don't know any different, and they don't usually think any different. And if they do, they're not going to stay there. And that's cool too. Like, you know, and we'll have that conversation. You want to be an agent. But they only know this. So when you take their own rules back to them and go, it says this, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, that's within the rules. We can do that. So that's why I read all of EXP. And I had the same situation when we had the person who was squatting in my house up in the rental I bought. We had the person who squatted and just flat out wouldn't move out. And I was working through the different social agencies to, you know, like, this person needs to go. And finally I was like, screw this. And I pulled Florida state legal code and I read not the whole thing, but anything that pertained to squatting, homelessness, renter, landlord. I read all of it. And I found this little passage that wasn't in the landlord tenant rules. It was someplace else. I found this little passage and I called the police and I'm like, it says this, your legal code says this. And he said, I was in Arizona at the time. My husband was here and he said, can you be at the property now? And I'm like, well, I'm in Arizona. And he goes, I said, but my husband can be there. And he said, how soon? I said, hour 20, hour and a half. And he goes, all right. He goes, is he a legal owner? I said, absolutely. And I tell him to get here. We're going to meet him there. We'll get y'all taken care of. But prior to that, for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, it was just a sea of the cops being called on me because I was demanding this person leave. And God forbid I taped a note to the door. And that's apparently harassment to tape a note to the door of the thing I own. But again, I read all the rules. I read the rules and it said, these are the rules. So I want to work within your rules. What are they? Look for the loopholes. So there you go. That's my story. What kinds of questions do you guys have? I promise this is never changing. This is, that's my main, I promise this is never changing. I love this.
Oh,
So-
thank you. So I posted on the text a song that a friend of mine sent me back earlier in the week when I was in the thick of this nightmare that I've been having with tenants and things breaking down in the house. So it is called The Work by
Okay.
Rob Ricardo. And the lyrics are very interesting. It lines up perfectly with what you were saying in the beginning of the story that you were telling us. That it stings, it hurts, and the only way through it is through it.
Do it.
It was like, wow, the message that you're giving me today is like so on point. It's like, oh,
That's
okay.
why you were first on this meeting.
I guess so. Yeah,
And-
thank you.
Do you want to know the real truth?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, here's the real truth. I love it. 2 real truths, because the first one is you. I literally, because I was working on the ICA till late last night, and I have some other stuff I got to get together before 1 o'clock this afternoon, and then another thing before 6 o'clock tonight. I was literally like 8:29. I'm looking at my computer. I do have coffee, but I'm looking at my computer. I'm like, oh shit. You have to teach today. What are you going to teach on? And I literally started looking around my office and I'm like, well, you have this thing about confidence that you read last night. That's pretty good. And then you spoke up. And then that was it. That was it. So you gave it to me, PF. You totally gave it to me.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. Huge thank you. I was going to wait one more day to get the your official through the state of Wyoming. But the girl's like, we'll just she goes, we just push everything through it. Usually you have it in 24 hours anyway. The only reason that you might not have it is because you might need 2 people and then fine, bring the girl on and then we'll just push it through. But everything else is already ready to go. Name everything. You're good. So yeah, so it was that. And then that lines up totally with, I'm supposed to do a speech tomorrow. And the guy texted me last night and he said, what's the title of your speech? Because he has to introduce it. And I'm like, you want to know the truth? And he goes, sure. I'm like, frankly, I have no idea. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm talking for 7 minutes tomorrow. I have no idea what on. And he goes, I go, so why don't, he goes, do you have a title? Like, do you have anything? I go, why don't you call it shit? I need to get to you by Friday, 6 p.m. And he goes, I'm going to run with that. And I'm like, that's why I love you. You run with that. That's fine by me because I don't know. So there you go. I'll probably tell this story because now I've told it and I just got to hone it down to 7 minutes and we're good. So again, thank you, PF. You just gave me 2 things now. All right. Questions or thoughts or anything. Craig, you just smile so beautiful.
Gina, I am super, super proud of you for coming out of that cycle of being stuck and being a hamster in the wheel. And I appreciate your honesty, your candidness, your rawness of sharing that with us because it's a huge, huge struggle to go through that period and to make it out alive and to see yourself in that hindsight. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing. And I really believe that you should be running your own. You are amazing, and your teammates will be absolutely lucky to have you. I love the fact that we'll still have you, at least for our morning calls, because that would have changed
Well,
everything for me.
morning and phone calls and all those kinds of things like that doesn't go away. That doesn't go away on any level, on any level. So I'm still here. I'm still here to help you guys. I'm still here because that came out completely wrong. I'm still here for the mutual that we all build up and give to each other. So I don't want, yeah, I'm still here. I still want to work really closely with Gary. Gary and I talked again last night about it. And like, Gary's like, I'm like, I told him I still want to work with you. And he's like, yes, so all that I don't want to walk away from any of it. And that's not the way the EXP is designed to be anyway. It's just not designed to be that way, which I love. You don't have to do, because in real estate, like if you leave stuff, it's always this weird thing because you have to break. And it's always felt like, how do you have to leave in the middle of the night so you don't hurt other people? Like, and that feels gross. And there's all that grossness. And because of the way this company is structured, we don't have to do that. We get to lift up everybody and go, it's very cool. I really love that. It feels much more holistic,
That's awesome. And love, one question I have, do your teammates have access to everything GIA offers and vice versa? Is that how it's going to work, or is it a completely wholly separate side of?
It's okay. So what I'm gonna do, Gary says, use the crap out of me, use my stuff and all those kinds of things. So that's an option if I want to go that direction. Here's what I'm really gonna do, because I've talked with Gary about it. We've kind of been talking for a while. So if I run across somebody, Monday Night Lives are open for everybody. So that's, if I have an agent that wants to go that direction, that's cool. But if I run across somebody in my recruiting that's very, very investment minded, and that's really the direction they want to go, then they'll go in my downline, but I'm going to put them onto Gary's team because that just makes a better fit for them. If Gary, somebody that's just pure residential, not interested in investing at all, and runs across that, then he'll put his downline, my team. And the beauty of that is we get to go out there and we're geared very, very differently, but you never know what you're going to find. And so Gary and I were almost business partners back in 2014, I think. And so we almost opened up an office together. And we've been just doing stuff like, we've just been friends for forever. So there's a great symbiosis. I think that's the word I want. So that's how it's probably going to work, is probably along those lines. Well, I know that the team part will work that way. If they're interested, they can go on his team if they're interested, but the downline will just be the downline. And we just, we still, I'm imagining, I can't imagine it changing, still sharing massive, here's all my stuff. Your agents are like 99% of the scripts, or at least 90% of the scripts on Gary's site, those are all mine. That's where they came from. If you go to my website, you will see the exact same scripts. And it's like, no, this helps residential agents here. And Gary's like, well, this helps this here, So I think it's all going to be the same on that end.
Gotcha. Love. That's super exciting for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, what is going on in your guys' worlds that you have coming up this upcoming week, or any thoughts on this or anything? Or inspiration, or have you had experiences in your life where you finally had to dig in your heels and say, screw you, minimum wage, you're not stopping me?
Well, I still need to dig in. But what you were saying was true. Like when I find myself overwhelmed and the negative self-thought comes in, the self-talk, and when I can just remember to not let those thoughts overcome me, and I can bring back, I can start thinking what I want, then it always works out.
Mhm.
May not be exactly like I want it to.
Or look like you thought, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
But-
definitely run across that.
Yeah. But it always works out.
Mhm.
So just being able to get back grounded and centered, and think about what you want, what I want, sort of the law of attraction.
Yep,
It always comes.
it always does.
But it seems like before it does, and before you can get into that realm of possibility, it's a nightmare.
It flipping is. This is how this started. PF said, I don't know what lesson I'm supposed to be learning, but I have to learn, but I'm obviously learning something. And that is what sparked, that was the first words out of his mouth. And that's what sparked this entire thing. And I don't know why. I do know this, in order for me to grow, I go down to go up. I go in to go out. I have to experience there has to be some sort of uncomfortable pain thing for me to dig in my heels and then explore it from there. And there's always some lesson that I have to learn before finally it's like, okay, well, you got that lesson here. This next door is open for you. And then there'll be another one, and then there'll be another one, and then there'll be another one. You said something though that made me think, Craig. You said when I get centered. And the thing that made me think about this is, for me, the actual physical feeling or the visual in my head that I get is pushing in my heels and going, no more. That's what it feels like with my heels, and just like I'm going to stand. For you, when you experience that, what is the actual feeling for you?
I think it's more like, for me, it's more like not really digging in, but more like letting go.
Ah. Wow.
Yeah, sort of like a release.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's super interesting. And so the reason why I asked that is I'm wondering, I have no idea, but I'm wondering if, because I know that feeling, and I've had that feeling over and over and over and over again, and that's when stuff starts to change for me, when I like dig my heels in and go and get, there's almost an anger. There's definitely resolution. I'm wondering if when I'm going through that part, I would like to, my intention is to remember when I'm going through whatever turmoil to get through. I would like to remember so that I can dig in my heels and I can conjure that feeling. And then from there, the visualization of that feeling. And then from there, the emotions, and then the resolution to move forward will come. That's my intention. And it also aligns up with, I always say, one of my things I say all the time, in really good times, like sing, like literally when times are great, sing, thank God, praise, because you're in a really blessed place, and just run with it. Gary talks about running with the momentum. I believe in all that. When you're in a bad place, look backwards, because you got through it before, you'll get through it again. There's something back there that you got through that's like this. And in this case, I think for me, I would like to remember that dig. So does that seem at all? Has any validity to it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I think, I think it's whatever it is that you can use to get out of the funk
Mm-hmm.
where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
especially being able to recognize it.
Bam. That's
Biggest
huge.
thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The awareness of the space that you're in. Last night I was listening to a little bit of self-authoring, the concept of self-authoring, which lines up with this. Self-authoring is going back and looking at your past and kind of writing out the story of your past. And then from there, going to writing out your future and what your future is. And really because we're living a story. We're all living our stories, whatever our stories are. And the importance of kind of doing that is the importance is to be aware of the fact that you're living a story, and what is that story, and recognizing, and that's the recognizing part. What is your story? We're all living one. It's important to know that so that you can craft that future that you want and change your story, focus your story, use the good parts of your story that you want to use and the great tools that you've learned that have helped you, and throw away the ones that helped you at some point and aren't helping you anymore. Now yeah.
It's like I even hear some of these people say, we're living in a simulation.
I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it's up to us to play the game the way we want.
Red pill, blue pill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch that again. It's been a long time since I've watched that, and I love that.
I've never watched
What
it.
is it? I've never seen it.
The Matrix?
Never watched
Oh,
it.
The Matrix? No, I never saw it.
First
Yeah.
Matrix. I don't know so much about the second and third. I don't know. Or I think there's a fourth, maybe. I'm not sure. Anyway, watch the first one. Yeah, watch the first one. The first one. Yeah, it's
I gotta sit down and watch it. I've seen bits and pieces throughout the years, and it seems like I know the whole movie.
right.
I've
Yeah.
never seen
I'll put it in order. Now put it in chronological order from the
Yeah.
little bits. Yeah, there's a bunch of things like that the color purple was that way. I kept on seeing all this little stuff, and then finally,
Yeah, the same with me.
yeah, and then finally I was like, all right, I prepared to bawl my eyes out. Let's watch this dang thing. But that's not this one. This one's it's very, very good. Can we watch Matrix this weekend? Happy Easter, watch the Matrix. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Craig, I agree with you. And there's so many things about simulate.
A simulation.
Simulation.
Thank you, because I'm like, stimulation, that is not the word I want.
It's like the Borg.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. That we only see what we see, and it filters through. And the law of attraction is exactly how a lot of people think that there's some people think that it's completely mystical and spiritual, and that's all it is. Other people think it's just mystical and it's crazy and there's no validity to it. And then there's this third body that goes, that's the way your brain's wired. And it really is that's the way your brain is actually wired. And then my version is, yeah, my brain was wired that way by my creator. So you'll just merge those two in together. But it really is with the back of the brain. That's how it's wired. It's wired to filter through our stuff, and it filters through by what we told it was important. And to that end, even if nothing else, we are completely living in a simulation because we can't even see. It's just like the gorilla with the ball. He doesn't exist the first time you see him, or any of those other ones. If you want to watch some of those things, I know I showed one and then talked about another one. It's fascinating to sit there and realize that don't even see it, doesn't even exist on any level, does not exist. Holy moly. And that would make the simulation theory, even if it wasn't really like a computer or anything like that, that part of it lines up and makes it very real. We don't see it. We don't see it until someone opens our eyes. I couldn't see 2 weeks ago until finally someone said, doesn't every successful person get told no all the time? I suppose they do, don't they? I mean, we all get told no all the time. And even that rings so true. If anyone has ever had a 2-year-old, what does a 2-year-old do? Constantly, right? I mean, we learned that word right quick, man. So yeah, and I whatever doesn't matter, does matter, whatever does matter. Plowing forward. That's what we're going to do. We're going to plow forward and build. I'm in a building phase now. Let's build. All right. Yeah.
I love this conversation because it's very similar to what I've been having with myself. Because the message that I've been hearing for years and years and years is let go, let it go. It'll happen when it happens. And I'm like, but it's not happening when I let it go, fighting with that. And then I was noticing that very similar to you, Gina. I love how you articulated it, is that things don't happen until I dig in my heels myself. And it's like, why do I get energized by anger? It's like, why is that my superpower? That's kind of like, but then it's like, once I recognized that, I started thinking, which is ironic, you articulated it. It's like, how do I use that energy without having the anger?
Mm-hmm.
So that's been kind of like in the last few days, that's been kind of like what I've been processing. It's like, how do I use that as a propeller?
Yeah.
As my jet fuel to move me forward without feeling the anger? Because when I feel angry, I am like the Hulk. I smash everything. It's like, it doesn't matter how beautiful the garden is, it will be smashed.
Okay, PF, I love that you brought this up. And here's why I love that you brought this up. So I struggled most of my young adult life, definitely through my teenage years and then my young adult life, with anger, like a massive anger. And I didn't know what to do with it. And I labeled it as bad. And I labeled it as bad. And it took me a long time to wrap my brain around anger is not, this is my feeling on it. Anger is not inherently bad. And the reason why I go there is because of my faith, because Jesus got angry. And so if he got angry, it's not inherently bad. So if it's, and then, okay, so when is anger good? And I thought, well, there's righteous anger and there's anger at injustice. And there's anger at, well, anger and injustice is a perfect one, because I can get real angry if I see injustice or you're hurting an animal or a child. I've actually, I haven't done this in a long time because I haven't seen it in a long time, but if I saw a street fight or something going on that, like kids, like teenagers or whatever, I've actually gone right into the middle of it and gone, what the hell's going on? And positioning myself and breaking it up. And my husband is like, you're going to get killed one day. Would you stop that? And I haven't seen one in a long time, so I haven't had to do it. But I've driven my car up into the middle of that stuff and go and knock it off, break it apart. So my anger is not necessarily the initial emotion, especially, is not necessarily evil. Because we can't really control our first thought or our first emotion that happens. The very first one that happens, like if something scares me and I'm like, that's the first thing, like the scare, and then but the second one, I can control that, because that one is that's not a reaction. That's a deliberate, right? That one I can control. So I don't think of my anger as bad anymore. I think of my anger as it happens and it occurs. Sometimes it's warranted, sometimes it's not. And it's what I do with it that makes it what is the word I want? The word I want is, it doesn't not justify, redeems it. It's what I do with it that redeems it, one way or the other. So what do I want to do? And sometimes that anger is, maybe I need to go kick some butt, and sometimes that anger is, you need to shut your mouth and figure out, how to, whatever, you know what I mean? And it's when I go off half cocked, every single time, I am dead wrong. I don't care what it is. If I go off half cocked without being deliberate with my anger, then I've been wrong. And I finally, I believe, have my lesson learned that, no, Gina, if you go off half cocked, and the higher I go, the more wrong I am. But when my anger is a deliberate force that I'm directing deliberately and with purpose, then it has been very effective. Very effective, like having a conversation with somebody that flipping needs to happen. And but that anger is like a calm burn. You know what I mean? It's a calm force. It's not that if I do that, I'm wrong. I'm always wrong every time I do that. So that's been my walk. Yes, Kathy.
I think for me, and maybe it will help you, PF, but when I've been so angry like that, that I wanted to just bust and destroy, I'll give you an example. The divorce, right? All the crap with my in-laws, whatever. My in-laws were doing all this bad talk. My daughter was coming home with migraines when she was young because of it. She'd overhear it. They wouldn't do it directly at her, but she'd overhear it. And I couldn't control any of it, none of it. And it would just infuriate me. So one of the things that I started to do was to focus that anger on something productive, but in a way that I could let it out. So I might have a piece of furniture that needed to be sanded, and I did that sanding by hand. Or there was wood at my neighbor's house or whatever that needed to be split. I'd take an axe to go bust that crap. Something physical to let it out. And yet I was in control and focused. So that's why in the comments when I wrote earlier, if you turn that anger into determination instead of just violence,
Directing.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
You put it, you give it that outlet because you got to. You can't internalize anger. It's a horrible thing. And very destructive to you more than anybody else. But that's what I've done in the past, and it's worked well to do that. So
Never forget an argument that I had with my husband. I think we were newlyweds. We might have just been dating, but I was so pissed at him. I don't even know what for, who knows? And he's taller than me. So I'm like this, and I'm like, "Arr, arr, arr, arr," and I'm just chewing on him. And he leans down, he's so calm, right? And he goes, "You realize, of course, you're completely wrong." And I was, right? And I'm like, "I know." And so for him, this is unfathomable. I'm dead wrong and I'm still pissed. And he's like, and I'm like, "I'm still pissed." And he's like, "Okay." Still, and yeah, but I was still pissed at whatever it was. Who knows what it was, whatever. So, but you're right, Kathy, that does help to direct it. It really does help sometimes to go take something that, that you can turn that force into and go do whatever physical labor that needs to be done.
yeah, and I'm not good at that. I'm better at that. I shouldn't say that. I have a tendency to internalize that anger. And that's why I say, I know it's not good. I know it's not.
I think, and okay, this is going out on a huge limb, and it's just me, my suppositioning, and assuming, and I could be dead wrong. I feel, and again, correct me if I'm dead wrong on this one, because correct me if I'm ever wrong on anything. I'm fine with that. I might at you, but I still know I'm wrong. But I feel like women internalize it more and men externalize it more, because in our society, it's allowed and expected,
Makes sense.
yeah. And maybe it's wrong, maybe it's not, I don't know, but it feels like that.
What do you do when your feelings are just kind of numb?
Oh, hey, welcome to my world. I was just reading some stuff yesterday about that. I wondered, I was trying to figure out what I'm going to talk about for the speech tomorrow. I was going through my journal. So like just a sentence or two. So I was going through my journal, reading through a bunch of old stuff going, is there a story in here somewhere? And one of them was, is there something wrong with me? Because sometimes I don't feel whatever I feel like I should feel compassion wise for other human beings. And the very next sentence was, I feel exactly the same as I feel for myself sometimes, which isn't very much. And it was so what I realized was that I don't feel as much compassion, like I wasn't giving myself compassion either. But I think I can only tell you my own walk with that, in that if you've grown up, oh gosh, you've grown up with a really narcissistic, horrible person, a lot of times you will numb yourself because it just hurts to feel. And so you just learn a way of numbing yourself. I'm not saying that's what you are. I'm saying that is what I think was with me, and why I don't. And also, so there's that component. The other component is, if you look at personality types, there's a thinker personality type and there's a feeler personality type. And I'm definitely a thinker, and you can tell, and it's not a person, it's actually just it's how you process through things. I will say, I think this, I think that, where a feeling person will say, well, it felt like this and it felt like that. And if you know, people ask me all the time, like, well, how do you feel about that? I don't know. I know what I think. And so they're just naturally lean towards that. And it's in the Myers-Briggs, it's the T versus F. In the, like, I'm an ENTJ and versus the ENFJ. And that would be the feeling personality type. Not that one, I'm the thinker one. So there might be a component in there too.
Yeah, my problem is like I don't know if I really internalized the anger, because I used to have anger problem issues as well. So I don't really like, I don't let my anger show
Mhm.
until I get ready, you know, it builds up and then I might explode. But
Right.
if somebody just keeps on, you know, but but the problem I see is, like, with me, when I'm working through it, I kind of stop, you know, I just, and it I'm sort of like paralyzed from everything else. Like, I don't, I know it's things I need to do, but I don't get them done. It's like I just stay in that place.
Is it, you said my problem at the beginning, so is it a place where you're working through it and it's a halt to work through this and this to be able to go back out again? Or is it just, this just stops me dead and then I don't work through this and this?
Yeah, I think it's while I'm working through that I just stop.
Yeah. Okay, I feel like I do that also. I feel like if there's just too much, then I need to stop and think. And the problem, so I would say my problem is I don't do the stop and think as much. Like I let it go too long to actually take the stupid time for myself. I don't know if that's well, you defined it as a problem, so I guess it is.
Yeah, I think I let it go too long.
That's what I think I do too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, my stopping is, I let the stopping go too long.
I let the problem go too long before I stop and deal and figure it out.
Yeah.
That's,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I stay at the stop sign too long waiting for the light to change.
Waiting for the stop
I
sign to
do
turn
both
green.
of them.
Yeah, do you, Kay?
I do both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I want to examine my pattern. That's why I asked you what your feeling was, Craig, and it was a releasing. I want to figure that out so that I don't, life has ups and downs. That's just the way it is. It always is that way. You're going to have problems. You're going to get stopped. You're going to get halted. You're going to have something flare up. And if not, then somebody close to you will, and you'll have to deal with that too, whatever. It just, that's the way it is. I want to look at my pattern to be able to recognize, to mitigate it and shorten the time span. And whatever I got to learn, then I want to be able to pour into it. And I think you're helping me with this because I'm talking through it. Me not addressing it and letting it go too long is increasing that time frame instead of stopping, loving myself enough to take the time to dig into what is this that's going on. And that's part of it. And then the other part that I love, that is a new part for me, is growing through community and not doing everything on my own, but taking things to community so that community can bounce off of me, so that this is purely selfish group for me, guys. So that community can bounce off, so I can bounce it off of, so that you can help me see me. And so I can do that. And I think that our true growth really is through community, because community rubs you, and hones you, because people think different than you're forced to think. So that's my walk. And all I can say is just what my walk is, because I don't, maybe it helps you guys too. I don't know. And listen for you guys and walk with you.
Yep. Same.
Well, I want to say a thank you to Liz because I'm filing 2 complaints with the Better Business Bureau on my contractor issues. And I'm loading my
Yay!
stuff up. So I am doing something different instead of going back to this idiot time and time again and having him take more money back every time he talks to me.
I fired my guy and I have a new guy, and I love my new guy. He's an old man. He's old as dirt. He keeps wanting to date me. That's fine, whatever. And he's really good and he's really reasonable. And he does the right job, and he's got good connections up there. So the old as dirt Clyde guy. Anyway, and he's probably not that all much older than me. He just tells me he's old as dirt. Anyway, I'm very happy that I did that. Very happy I did that. So congratulations. All right, my community of amazing human beings that I now have realized that I have, holy crap, I have an hour to get my next project done. Yeah, exactly. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you guys for always being there with me. Thank you for growing with me. Thank you for allowing me to help you guys in whatever way. And I want to just pour into you guys and your growth also. Because my passion is raising up leaders, and that's how all of you are. You are all leaders. And sometimes we don't see it, sometimes we don't recognize it, and sometimes we are unaware of what it is that is inside of us. And my passion is that all of you will see the same greatness in yourselves that I see in you. PF.
Thank you. Congratulations, Gina.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Love
you.
you guys all.
Love you guys too. All right. Have blessed Easters, or if you don't celebrate Easters, just go eat chocolate. And I will see you guys Tuesday.
Okay.
All right. Bye,
Happy
everyone.
Easter.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.